Vanakkam, Namaskar, and welcome to yet another episode of my podcast series, The People I Meet. My name is Shruti Vijay Kumar Vasant. I'm a radio jockey from Chennai, and on today's episode, I'm going to be introducing to you someone who is insanely handsome, someone who is one of Chennai's most sought after designers, and someone who truly makes hearts flutter. So if not for a designer, I'm sure he would have been one of the most sought after models also, not just here but across the globe. Someone who truly has a very, very sweet and charming personality and has managed to create a mark in Chennai's fashion scene, and someone who's just looking to expand and give fashion a very, very refreshing makeover. So it gives me immense happiness and welcoming on to my podcast the very dapper, the very handsome fashion designer Ashwin Tyagarajan. Hi Ashwin, how are you doing?
Hi Shruti. First of all, thank you so much. You were extremely generous with your introduction. Thank you so much. It was very sweet of you. I'm doing very well. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. Apart from the pandemic sort of putting a halt on everything, on routine everyday life, I think I've been managing, and this journey, especially that I've embarked on with this podcast series, has truly kept my mundane days a lot more entertaining because I love to listen to stories, I love to share stories, and that's the reason why today I want to share your story from my perspective. So thank you so much for agreeing to be a part of this and, talking about your journey.
Yes.
So the first question that I have for you today, Ashwin, is I've read about how I've actually stalked you quite frequently on Instagram. So I know, every single article that's come out about you, right from your Oscar moment to, how you actually began way back when you were 21 years old. So the reason why I'm asking you this question of, you switching from IT to fashion is not everybody's first choice, especially when it comes to a city like Chennai and especially when it comes to male fashion designers. So what was going on in your mind when you sort of decided to, make this career switch?
Okay. So for me, the career shift was not one major decision. It's not that I decided one day, okay, I'm going to quit IT and pursue fashion. It was not like that. It was more of a slow process. So when I was working with IT, with Infosys, I was doing fashion on the side. I was dating someone back then, and he and I, we made clothes together for our friends of friends, cousins. So that's how it basically started. It sort of started as like something that we wanted to try out because he was very good at sewing and I was very good at coming up with designs. So we thought, why don't we collaborate and make something and see where it goes? Because fashion is something that has always fascinated me ever since I was a kid. When I wake up and my mom was out for work, I used to ask my grandmother, what did my mom wear to work? So even as a kid, I was very fascinated by clothes, by colors, by combinations, by fabrics and all of that. So I really wanted to play with that when I had a chance to, and that's what we exactly did. So we played around, we tried a few silhouettes, we tried a few construction techniques, and it all worked out. We did a few photo shoots. So all this happened when I was still working with Infosys. I used to work 5 days with Infosys, and the remaining 2 days over the weekend I used to, spend for fashion. And
right.
Even evenings, right after coming back from work, we used to sit and discuss what new can we do. And we used to do that. We used to enjoy doing that. That's how it basically started. But the big, switching point came when I did a fashion show for Silk Mark. Because of Sydney. Sydney made me do the fashion show. Ace designer Sydney Staten, I'm sure a lot of people know him. He made me do a fashion show back in 2014, which was a big deal because supermodels from India had come down to Chennai to walk for the fashion show. And
right.
He gave me that opportunity, which was a huge opportunity. And I'm still, even now, to this day, I'm extremely grateful for that moment because that was one of the most important turning points in my career, because that's when I brought my parents to the fashion show and they gained a sense of confidence that, yes, okay, he could become something in this field. Because up until that point, they were very, very skeptical. They were not sure. They were like, oh, you should just continue IT and all of that. But once they saw the fashion show, they saw the response, that sort of instilled some confidence in them. And then that's when they got on board. Right. And the next day I went and I put down my papers and I quit.
Wow. So like you said, it was not like just this eureka moment where you found your life's calling, even though from childhood you really wanted this, wanted to pursue this in a very, say not a very fashion forward way, but you still wanted to delve into fashion and explore your creativity. Right. I just want to go back to talking about, your parents' sort of acceptance into this field. The reason why I'm asking this, Ashwin, is even today, to be very honest, especially in a city like Chennai, where as much as we embrace modernism, we also are still deeply sort of rooted into the traditionalist way of thinking, right? So today, fashion is definitely something that everybody talks about, everybody plays with, and people are getting a little bit more open to the idea of fashion as an industry. Back then, I'm sure it was still very nascent. So how did you sort of mingle, or how did you sort of make that transition? Was it a smooth one into the industry, or did you feel like, okay, there are so many expectations, there are so many sort of barriers that I need to break, especially, it's very different for me to say this because usually I talk about women having to break those barriers. But here in this case, the roles are reversed. So how did you sort of manage that?
I didn't see any barriers as such. The only barriers that I saw was, will I be a success? Will this work out? What do I do in the beginning phase where I needed funds? Am I going to ask my dad for help? What if I run out of cash to pay my employees, my tailors? So those were the kind of barriers that I thought about. It was nothing about, I don't think I saw any other barriers. I only saw challenges with respect to, sort of establishing my business as opposed to being accepted by people. I just want to do my thing. Whether I'm being accepted or not is a completely different thing. I wanted to truly put my creativity out there and, leave it for people to decide whether they want to accept or not. That's basically how I saw it. I didn't look at that as any kind of barrier, if I have to be honest.
Wow, that's a very refreshing sort of admission because, coming from the outside, right? For me, I'm a complete outsider to the world of fashion. As much as my job sort of demands us to be up to date with the current trends and to know who's the who of Chennai. But from an outsider's perspective, I obviously don't know what goes on inside. So obviously there's a lot of talk. People say these things. There's a lot of stigma. There's a lot of taboo. People, assume certain things about fashion, designers and the people from the industry. So if there is one thing that irks you, that you do not like people saying, or a general perception about the fashion industry, what would that sort of be?
Oh, there are so many. Like I used to write a fashion column for Provoke, and I had made an article about misconceptions about designers and the fashion field in general. So there are so many misconceptions. One, the first thing that comes into discussion is, oh, he's a fashion designer, he should be gay. Right. So that's the first thing that people discuss. I mean, okay, they may be gay, they may not be gay, but how is that any of your business, right? So what they put out there and what is the creativity they showcase is what important than what turns on their porch light. That doesn't matter at all. So that's one of the speculations that I feel very icky about. I'm like, it's not okay to just go ahead and just gossip about something that as personal as someone's sexuality. I think that's not okay. There's so many things. They think that we lead very fancy lives. Oh, you're a fashion designer, you should have such a fancy life. No, I'm still trying to make ends meet. I'm still trying to pay my bills, and that is also another misconception that we lead very fancy lives. It's all glitz and glamour from the outside, but it really is a lot of hard work that goes into what we do.
Right. And yes, very fairly admitted, because I think, like you rightly said, that is a very, very common misconception that people have. And I think it's not just about the fashion industry. They have it about a lot. Anybody who's from the media or from the entertainment, they automatically say, "Arey, what for you? You have, this whole fancy life going on. You're doing this." It's like as if they think we don't have any bills to pay, which is far a cry from reality, right? So
Exactly.
getting into that conversation in just a little bit, I want to go back and talk about sexuality, right? This is something because I have seen your interview with Anu, and I have been so moved by it. And I think a lot of people, the comments that, have come out after that particular episode, this was, a few years ago, but still there was so much truth, there was so much honesty, there was so much candidness in the way you spoke. And you were, like you said, you never wanted to feel accepted by anybody else. And that was something that you made very clear. So during that time, right, there would have been a lot of people who were encouraging, but also a lot of people who would have gone back and said, I'm not really sure why he's doing this now. So how did you sort of, deal with that at that point?
Just to clarify, when you say I'm not sure why he's doing this, do you mean fashion or do you mean bisexuality? By coming out.
By coming out, because because when you were talking about it like a couple of years ago, see, today in a city like Chennai, or there are still a lot of people who don't want to openly talk about this, right? It is still considered taboo. It is still, I think the Gen X and the millennial generation is a little bit more on board, but it still takes a lot of time for people to come out of their shells and talk about it openly, which is why I want to ask you this question.
Of course, absolutely. I'm more than happy to talk about it because we need more voices to come out and speak about it and make it, right now, even the word gay is very hush-hush. Not a lot of people are comfortable saying the word gay because they use so many terms, so many derogatory terms, which is not okay. So the more we talk about it, the more we normalize it, that's when people from the LGBT community will be accepted as one among everybody, So I'm more than happy to talk about it. And as to answer your question, so my coming out again happened in steps. It again was a very slow process. For me, everything I think is a step-by-step process, which I think is how it should be. I mean, it's safe if it is like that because I first came out to my close friend in college and then to my best friends from school and then to my sister and eventually to my parents. So, for me, the most important, for not just for me, for any kid who wants to come out or comes openly talk about his sexuality, the first thing to do is like to find someone that you really, really trust. And for me, that was my college friend Bala. So for me, I have this confidence that no matter what I tell him, he's going to be accepting and he's going to support me and at least be there and be honest and share his opinions or share his thoughts on it more than anything else. And so I talked to him first and he was shocked. He was utterly shocked because back in college, I used to talk to a lot of girls and there were crushes and whatnot. And so everyone thought of me as a playboy, which I am not. Little did they know. And he was utterly shocked. And then I spoke to him and eventually he was like a couple of days of discussion later and he was completely like, yeah, you have to be who you are. And that's totally fine. And that's how it started. So I gained his trust, I gained his support, and then I moved on to my next friend and I gained their support. And that's how it by the time I came to my parents, I had an army behind me. Right. So I had all these friends who were there. My support system was right there behind me to tell me if it's okay, even it turned out not to be okay. But yeah, coming out to my parents was one of the best experiences of my life, best decisions of my life. It has changed my life upside down. It's brought us very close as a family. It's truly a very, very gratifying experience for me.
It's so beautiful to hear you say this, Ashwin, and I truly mean it from the bottom of my heart because
thank you, Shruti.
It really does because, there are certain experiences, there are certain moments in life where you feel, I'm so happy I'm having this conversation. Right? They truly mean a lot to you, and I can see how sincere, how honest you are about everything that you do. And something that I really like and really appreciate, and something that I've noticed you say quite often is that creativity, like a lot of things in life, should not be rushed. Right? Yeah. And I think that is truly translated in a lot of steps in your life and also into your fashion line. So getting back and talking a little bit about fashion, Ashwin, I know that you are somebody who doesn't sort of you like your bridal gowns, you like getting these beautiful, outfits customized for your special people, your clients, as much as you love creating a collection, right?
Correct.
In today's day and age, when everybody is sort of evaluating a designer's worth based on the number of collections that he's come out with, you have sort of gone the entire opposite way, right? You have said openly also, hey, I like doing like 30, bridal jobs a month, and I'm completely okay with it. So was that like a conscious decision? Because, in fashion, it's a very tricky line to sort of cross, right?
Correct. So for me, I'll tell you honestly. So the reason why I haven't focused, I mean, I've done several collections by now, and but it's just that client orders keep me really busy, and at the end of the day, we're all just trying to make a living and make ends meet. So that was one of the main reasons where I focus a lot on my brides and grooms more than collections. But now I'm come to a point where I'm like, you know what? I'm going to take a step back from client orders, and I'm going to concentrate on creativity and putting my collections out there. So now I'm working a lot more on collections, a lot more or new concepts and new ideas and all of that. So I think this again was a good transition for me, because I've come to a point where I'm like, okay, enough client orders, I'm good. I'll move on to collections and explore more of my creativity than just do the mundane, lehengas and gowns and over again. So I'm comfortable with that. At the end of the day, if you're comfortable with your pace, if you're comfortable with your techniques and your method, that's all that matters. What somebody else says or what somebody else, what is okay or not okay to somebody else doesn't matter at all. As long as you're happy with what you do, that's all right.
Wow. Okay. Again, I think I'm really loving where this conversation is going, because there's a lot of, there's a lot of honesty, because in fashion, right? A lot of people say in life like this, imitation is the best form of flattery. Okay. As much as I like it, I think that it's something that a lot of people, especially when they come from the fashion line, sort of don't like, because if you're copying somebody else's work, then it really doesn't, where is your effort? Where is your creativity? That is a question that a lot of designers ask. So how does Ashwin sort of deal with that? How do you sort of, is it okay for you? Is it something that, because I know you've spoken about this as well. So what is your thought on that?
Yes. See, the first instance obviously bothers you. You're like, how can someone do this? Right. And the second instance, you're like, again, disturbed. I'm like, what? But then it keeps happening, and then you just develop a thick skin about it, because you can't go about suing every single account that tries to copy your design. There are accounts that literally blatantly post my picture as their creation, and just like, designers from Chennai have done that. One of them, I don't even remember their name, but it happened once, and a friend of mine told me, and I went and messaged them and told them, please take it down, and they did. But when this happens over and over again, you just kind of like, what, I can't just deal with it. And you're like, okay, if you can make a garment that looks exactly like mine, go ahead. At this point, I don't give a shit, because for me, what I do now is not what I would be doing tomorrow. Every season, I'm going to come up with something new, and that's what motivates me, and I concentrate on that more than these negative things about people copying and all of that. I am strongly against it. Plagiarism is very, very bad, because a lot of your we put a lot of creativity and so much of hours of dedication and hard work into creating every outfit, and then you just rip it off and do like a very shoddy job of it and sell it. It hurts you. It literally hurts you. But what can you do about it? There's not much you can do about it.
That's true. There's only so many, rats you can trap into a trap. And then after that, you just
exactly.
Yeah. All right. That again is a very, very mature way of handling it, if I could call it like that. Because today, social media has opened up. As much as I like to believe social media is a very positive space, and I truly have found a lot of wonderful human beings through that network. For me, I think social media also has a very, negative side to it, where it gets very toxic after a point. Okay, so we will come back and talk about that in just a bit. But going back and talking about fashion. So what is Ashwin's preference? So when I talk about Ashwin's preference, I literally want to ask you this. Which era of fashion is Ashwin truly sort of enamored by?
Oh, I'm really enamored by the vintage fashion because that's something that I've always even if you see my Western outfits, there is a hint of like Audrey Hepburnness or Grace Kelly-ness to it, which is what I'm truly inspired by the vintage silhouettes, the corsets, and all of that sort of inspire me. And I'm coming up with a new collection which also has some vintage silhouettes to it. We're probably shooting it this week or next week, which will be up soon. This time I just did a bridal collection and I did a photo shoot for a bridal collection. This time it's going to be more Western and more vintage. So I like to, do both. For me, it's not just bridal lehengas. For me, I'm very thirsty more thirsty for Western silhouettes than bridal lehengas or like
Right.
Indian ethnic wear per se. So
Right.
so for me, my favorite era will be the vintage, the black and white era.
The classics, right? I
Yeah,
think that there's something
absolutely.
so beautiful about the simplicity and the elegance
It's
of that time.
minimal, it's sophisticated, it's beautiful. The construction, the forms, they're all so beautiful and so tasteful and so art. What to say? Like it's very artsy, which inspires me a lot.
Beautiful. All right. Another thing that I want to ask Ashwin is, as cliche as it sounds, even though you are a fashion designer, everybody has a sort of a reason or something that keeps them going every single day, right? So, what is that one thing that drives Ashwin Tyagarajan every day?
Truly, honestly speaking, seeing happy brides, that's all that matters to me. So recently I did a gown for not just brides, happy clients. I did a gown for a client who was celebrating her son's first birthday. I made this garment for her. This was the first ever designer garment that she's trying. She's always bought stuff off of the rack and she's never gotten something designed. This is the first time she got something designed. She was very apprehensive. She was very skeptical. And I'm sort of like a people person. I like to talk to them. I like to guide them through the process when it comes to fashion, at least. I guide them through the process step by step and make sure they feel reassured that this will be good. And at the end of the whole process, when she wore the outfit, she was extremely happy, and you could see their face light up. When they feel good, their face lights up, and they get so much confidence. And that's what I really strive for: to see such faces, to light up when they stand in front of the mirror. That's all that matters. So that's what I think keeps driving me, basically.
Making people look and feel beautiful both on the outside and on the inside. I think that's
Yes,
what fashion.
absolutely.
Beautiful. All
Absolutely.
right. Awesome. So another question that sort of relates to this and, coming back to talking about how fashion plays such an important role in your life. What does fashion mean to Ashwin Tyagarajan?
At this point, it's literally my life, Shruti, literally my life. I wake up thinking, there are nights that I don't sleep because my head is just too creative. Like, I'm not able to sleep. I'll be like, can I just stop thinking about designs? I just don't want to anymore. Like, I need to sleep. Last night was like that. The whole night I was just up. I tried tossing and turning around. It's just designs and designs and designs. And it's literally my life. What I think about, what I breathe, what I eat, everything is just fashion.
I think that's what makes you stand apart from the rest, because when you're so passionate about something, right, it truly shows in your work. And I've seen that with a lot of the greats, right? When you talk about, say, Rajnikant, or when you talk about Kamal Hassan, or when you talk about all of those people in their respective fields, whether it's sport,
Yep.
whether it's arts, whether it's cinema, whether it's entertainment, all of them sort of people who have this burning passion, this desire within them to be the best version of themselves every single time. I think that sort of takes you places, right? And
Yes,
talking about
exactly.
going places, your garment was on the Oscar red carpet, right?
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
how was that moment for you? How did it feel?
It was surreal. It was honestly surreal because every designer, when he starts a business, especially one that quit an IT job to pursue fashion, would hope or dream of a scenario where someone would wear their outfit to a red carpet, right? And wear it for an Oscars. It's an absolute dream. And when it was happening, I literally had to pinch myself. Is this actually happening? And
Right.
I did not believe it will happen until I got a video call that day just to confirm like everything was okay when Sami Khan was wearing the outfit to get onto the red carpet. So up until that point, I was not sure because anything could go wrong, and I had not told anybody. I was like, I'm not telling anyone. Let it just happen, and then I will tell anyone. So it made me believe in myself a lot. It made me push myself a lot more. It made me want to expand my horizons. And like a lot of people thought, okay, you've hit the Oscar red carpet, and that's like a pinnacle of whatever for you. And for me, I just felt like that's when I sort of started my journey, in the sense like. Only now I feel like I am, diving into what I really am as a designer. So I'm getting more and more deeper into what I do. So it's been, again, that is another life-changing moment for me. It's made me want to do a lot more.
Beautiful. All right. Yeah. So I'm sure, like you said, surreal is a very nice word to sort of put together how you felt when you saw him wearing this beautiful piece that you created. And I read the backstory about it as well, which I'm sure all my listeners will go back and check out after listening to this podcast. So we're just sort of, coming to a close, Ashwin, and sort of putting together what we've been talking about so far. So Ashwin Tyagarajan as a person, Ashwin Tyagarajan as a fashion designer, in both these facets of your life, right? What are two strengths that you think you possess? One as a person, as just Ashwin, and one as a fashion designer. What do you think are your strengths?
Okay. One very important thing is that I know people, in the sense I know what comforts them, I know what reassures them, I know what they, I don't need a lot of time to assess someone and figure out what they're, what they want out of me, So I sort of understand people and I'm good with people. So that is a huge strength for me. Even with my employees, I've never had to yell at them once. The harshest I've told them is I'm getting angry. That's the harshest I've been with them. So, so people is something that I'm very comfortable with, with dealing with. And being in my profession, I need to do that a lot. Right. So I think that is one of my biggest strengths. And second is I am very patient. I'm very patient. So I think these two are my utmost strengths when it comes to doing a business.
Right, right. Yeah. Okay, but as a person.
As a person, again, I think the former one still applies because I know people. It helps me form more meaningful, more deeper bonds and relationships than just superficial ones.
Right.
So that's one thing that's really helped me. My other strength, I don't know. I don't know what my strength is. Yeah, I work on myself a lot. I think that's a strength.
That definitely is a strength, and I think sometimes people need to be reminded of that, right? Very often we get so caught up in our everyday lives, because we're all working on targets, right? Irrespective of whether we're a stay-at-home person or whether we're working a job or whether we're a student or whoever we are. We're constantly so caught up in this routine that we often forget to think about the little moments of life and to work on ourselves to become the best version of ourselves that we could possibly be. All right, Ashwin, the other question that I want to ask you is, I know that it's been a beautiful journey so far. There have been a lot of ups. There have also been a few downs, but you've handled them very beautifully and you've come out stronger than ever before. But where do you see Ashwin as a person over the next 5 years and Ashwin Tyagarajan, the brand, over the next 5 years?
I honestly live by, I don't think so far into the future, honestly, Shruti, because that doesn't work for me. Okay. Because when I joined IT, I had no clue that I will start a business, that I will get into fashion. I had no idea. Right. So I just want to live in the moment, enjoy what I am having right now. And even as a person, I'm just sort of like, I want to cherish what I have right now. Even when it comes to business, I'm really, really happy where I am. I'm really happy with the work that I do. What will come next, we will see. I do have plans of, expansion and all of that is there, but nothing is for certain. I will look into it when it will happen when it happens. That's about it.
Wow. I mean, you sound like this Zen, like this monk.
No, to be honest, this works best for me. It's not that that is something that I try and hard to be. I try hard to
Right.
be. Is
Right.
that it works for me right now? I am okay with where I am, and that's all I'm looking at. And that's what's happened so far. And starting a store again was not something that I constantly work towards. It just happened by itself. Like it
Okay.
happened organically. And I
Right.
believe anything that happens organically will last. And I just want to stay by that. And I want to just let things happen organically.
No, I think that's a very beautiful way to look at life itself, because sometimes when you rush things, right, or when you sort
Yeah.
of, as much as I believe that I need to put my thoughts out into the universe and the universe will conspire to make it happen for me, I also believe that good things take time. Like,
Yeah,
in your case, that
absolutely.
is truly worked out in your favor. So, one last
Yeah.
thing before we sort of wind up this conversation, Ashwin. We've spoken about fashion, we've spoken about your sexuality, we've spoken about how, you are someone who believes in the moment, right? To
Yeah.
anybody who's listening right now and who's looking for that extra spark, that extra, a little bit of a push, because we all need that, right? We all need sometimes somebody to tell us, hey, it's going to be okay. We are going to make it. So if anybody who's listening right now needs to hear a message from Ashwin Tyagarajan, what would that be?
Don't be so hard on yourself. Be really kind to yourself, because that's one thing that I've learned over the years. I think everyone's doing their own thing, and you do your own thing. You be you. Just be really kind to yourself. I've watched a lot of people be very harsh on themselves, be it physical appearance or be it their point in their career. They've been really hard on themselves, and I think it's really, really unfair. And if there's literally one thing that I want to tell people, just be kind to yourself, nothing else.
That's a beautiful sort of takeaway for anybody who's listening, and even to myself, because when you were talking about physical appearances and when we were talking about all of this, it takes me back to the time when I used to criticize my body and when I used to say, hey, you're not this size, you can't wear this outfit. But yeah, today I think a lot of us are learning to understand and appreciate everything that we do for ourselves, for our bodies, for our
Yes.
minds, and all of that. And
Yes.
I think we are somewhere going in the right direction. So I think it was a
Yes.
very beautiful conversation that we've had today, Ashwin. Thank you so much for being so honest, for being so candid, and you really are very good with people. So I think that's a very beautiful strength to have. And here's me wishing you lots more success, lots more love, laughter, and happiness in your life. And of course, as much as fashion that you need. As much as
Thank
the
you.
fashion world that you want to, go out there and capture and, make a mark for yourself. I hope all of those dreams come true for you.
Thank you so much, Shruti. I really enjoyed the conversation as well, and thank you for all the interesting questions. I know I've done podcasts, and I was, and I'm so happy this was like a different sort of a podcast where we talked about not just me as a designer, me as a person. Thank you so much for doing that, and thanks for having me.
It's been my absolute pleasure. So anybody who is listening, anybody who's tuned in right now to my podcast, The People I Meet, my guest today was Ashwin Tyagarajan, ace fashion designer from Chennai, who has a very beautiful smile, who's someone who's very dapper, very handsome, but also it's his personality that truly stands out, not just when it comes to designing clothes, but also him being his most honest self. So he is somebody who you will definitely fall in love with. If you've not fallen in love with him so far from the conversation that you've listened to, you can check him out on all social media handles as Ashwin Tyagarajan. With that, we come to the end of this episode. I will catch you with yet another interesting story with yet another interesting person on yet another episode of my podcast series, The People I Meet. This is me, Shruti Vijay Kumar Vasant, a radio jockey from Chennai, saying thank you for tuning in and take good care of yourself and stay safe. Until the next time, thank you.